The Gray Stage Podcast. New episodes on the first of every month. In this podcast series, we will examine the questions about David Crowley and the accusations against him. If you're looking for documents, videos, photos, audio recordings related to this case, please go to thegraystage.com. The truth can be buried, but that also means that we can dig it up. This book examines what we know about David Crowley and the accusations against him. But this is just the beginning. This book is intended for researchers and for people who genuinely care about this case and have questions and want to find the answers. This is for people who have a shovel and are ready to dig up the buried truth. Each month, Dan Hennon, myself, and many other fabulous researchers will go through my book and read it chapter by chapter and discuss various aspects of this case. What do we know about David Crowley? What do we know about his family? More importantly, what do we know about the allegations against David Crowley? Thank you all for taking the time to listen, to watch, and to help keep this case alive. You can always find us at the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. And thank you for caring. May God bless you all. Greetings and welcome. So just running through some notes here, thinking of things to cover or to not cover for the next book, and thought I'd go over, got a few things to go over here. Some of the things relate to the spiritual aspect of this, because I do have a spiritual chapter that I'm working on, and I'm wondering if I should include some of this stuff here that I'm showing you. So what I'm going to do is maximum screen, kind of read through some of this. So these are just 5 things that I found on social media. This is from back in September 30th, 2014, when David was getting a lot of questions about the project moving forward. Now, by this time, the script, the Gray State script, has now turned into a TV series, or that is how they're going to pitch it as with Michael Entertainment Group. They're going to pitch it as a TV series. And so it's interesting what they talk about here. Listen to what is said here. And this is David Crowley posting as Gray State. Somebody asked, does the movie portray the rapture, the Antichrist? Again, this is September 30th, 2014. And Gray State answers, an early draft of the script went there, but it's a quick way to get your movie into a $5 gas station bin. And that's interesting when you think about, you compare the 2013 script and the 2014 script. We're talking about rapture. And then you talk about what David says in his journal about Kamel. Oh, she got raptured, but she's still here. But this is a very interesting quote. I thought a very powerful quote, and I wanted to make sure that I documented that way back when, so that I could kind of bring it up here now to see if some of this stuff, what to include in this chapter, what to not include in this spiritual or paranormal chapter. So that's one of the things. Hey, Rick, how are you, my friend? Thanks for tuning in. As I'm going through some of my old social media screenshots that I found, I thought this was a very interesting one, and kind of 50-50 on putting it in the book, maybe not putting it in the book, where to put it in this chapter, the spiritual chapter that I've been working on. But very powerful quote, especially when you think about comparing David's 2014 script, which doesn't have any other spiritual stuff in there, and then you compare it to the one that is in there. So that is one of the one of the clips here that I have. Yep, I'm live. I'm actually live. The next one from the same day, Gray State. I have a personal soft spot for Antichrist, but I couldn't get it to jibe with other elements necessary for Gray State. It took me 2 years of writing to finally figure it out. He has a personal soft spot for Antichrist, the mythology of the Antichrist. Not exactly sure, 100% sure what he really means there, but this was another quote from the same day, September 30th, 2014, that kind of stuck out to me. Having a personal soft spot for the Antichrist mythology, not just the Antichrist. I want to make that clear. He's not saying the other person, but that's the way that when I first read it, that's how I took it. You have a soft spot for the Antichrist, but anyone who has read their Bible may understand kind of where he's coming from. I don't know. It's not really 100% clear. So this was another thing that I just kind of took a screenshot of. Pretty much anytime that I could find him talking about the devil, talking about God, talking about Jesus, talking about being a Christian. I wanted to try to document all of that as much as possible. And this is one of the other reasons that you can see the way that the Gray State story changes from 2013 to 2014. And that's probably why I took this screenshot here, because the 2013 script is very dark and very spiritual, demon, shapeshifters, the Bohemian Grove, child sacrifice. And the 2014 script doesn't really have any of that in there. So he says, I couldn't get it to jive with other elements necessary for Gray State. It took me 2 years of writing to finally figure it out. So he took all that stuff out. It's kind of what he's saying. That's the gist of what I get there. Let me go back. I skipped one. So this one was an Instagram post that I really found very interesting because, and I forget the date. I don't see the date on here. I know I have the date somewhere else. But this was about, and I think this is still when he was writing the first script. So this may have been 2013. And I think the Instagram account is still active, so I can probably find it. But one thing that I noted here is where he says, the final out, draft one in the can, write a movie, hashtag Gray State. One of the things it says, cut down Jesus and fuck. I don't know if that means the language, how some people use God's name in vain or they use Jesus' name in vain. And with this being with the F word in there too, that would make sense. And so he's doing, when I first read it, I was like, oh, he's taking Jesus out of it, but maybe he's just taking Jesus' name in vain out of it. So, but this kind of goes through 120 pages or bust. And so that's where he's kind of where he was reaching for in that post right there. This one, I'm not sure why I included this in the spiritual. Oh, I know why. So this was something I believe this came from a Mitch Heil post that he made after David died, where Mitch Heil basically blames Gray State for David's deaths. And one of the things here, then there was the underlying message of Gray State, the spiritual side. So the spiritual side, again, is a 2013 script. So it does kind of make you wonder how many people of the quote unquote Gray State team or Gray State goons, how many of them actually had read the 2014 script that didn't have any of this spiritual stuff in it. The Masonic blood ritual occult side, which is relevant and is evident in the 2013 script, but not in the 2014 script. It is not there. This stuff is not there. So it makes you wonder if Mitch Heil even knew that there was a updated version of the script, and who knew? Who knew about this? Very interesting there. So, because what Mitch Heil is talking about here, the spiritual side, the Masonic blood ritual cult side, in my heart, I feel like the stress, the message, the story, and the thought process caused his world of fiction and reality to blur. But again, that would only be related to the 2013 script, not the 2014 script. because all the stuff he's talking about in here is not in the 2014 script. So it just seems, again, Mitch Hiles is kind of out of the loop of what is happening with this script as it's moving on. But he's using something that happened back in 2013, possibly, to try to relate to something that happened in late 2014. It's a big stretch, and that's the problem with some of these guys, is they don't do their research on their friend. They don't do their homework on their friend. They don't look at the documents about their friend and the accusations against their friend and use that to logically piece together what happened here. They just jump the gun, and they just guess a lot, and they slander David, and they smear David, and it makes absolutely no sense to me why they would do that. But here he says it was no longer a movie, it was his reality. Conspiracy theorists are saying he was murdered by the government. He was murdered, all right. He was murdered by the Gray State. He was no longer David. He was not the David we all knew and loved. He was Gray State, and the Gray State killed David. It killed Kamel, and it killed Rania. Just a very disgusting thing to say, an idiotic thing to say, really. Something that is just not based in any evidence or any facts. It is just a desperate plea to try to avoid what really happened. And remember, this was written not too far after David died. Now, this post in here is another interesting one, because this is one of two posts that I know of that were removed after David Crowley died. And look at what this one says. Can you believe it? The rise is almost done. I'm serious. This is December 9th, 2014. She's coming out to be quite the looker. Can't wait to show you all, but I have to comb her hair for a few more weeks. Anyway, I'm quite serious about giving this film away. I have come to abhor the AJ model of peddling DVDs as truth and cashing in on suckers. I have given this film years of my time, and I am delighted for the opportunity to burn it down by giving it away. And I hope you all share the feeling. You've all given this project a lot of attention, and I thank you. Soon it will be time to go live, and we'll get to watch it all unfold. And then within a month, not even that, before 30 days, he's dead, his wife is dead, and his daughter is dead. And within a month, he's already being accused of this, and we're already being told that David is guilty and did this. Within a day of the bodies being found. Sorry, it's just so frustrating to hear. But now I understand why I put this top part in this spiritual folder or file that I have. And here's the last one. This is an interesting one from Thomas Lapp, because Thomas Lapp, as everybody should know by now, there is a Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group, and then there is a Justice for David Crowley of Gray State Facebook page. Thomas Lapp created the Facebook page. And let's look at what Thomas Lapp says here. And I don't know if this is getting bigger, is it? Oh, it is. Oh, very cool. Okay, so I'm going to bring that up. Should have done that in the first place. But this is what Thomas Lapp said. And this is August 7th of 2014. And I don't have the original post that David Crowley made that Thomas Lapp and others responded to. But here's what Thomas Lapp says. Good luck with getting Satan's Hollywood to allow you to tell the real story. Very interesting there. Very interesting stuff there. So that is all I have for this section. I just wanted to get that out, get those things out on this little quick video, and then I'll probably be doing some more of these, because there is a lot of social media posts and content that I need to go through, go back. But this is one thing that I keep forgetting about. It keeps slipping away from my mind, from my thoughts, because there's just so much data to this. Working on this second book, it's just like, it's almost to the point where, what do you leave in? What do you take out? And not a bad problem to have, because I want the book, like the first book, I want this one to be the best that it possibly can be. So with that said, I will probably be back sometime later on, jumping in, jumping out. But stay tuned because there's a lot more of these things to do. As I try to go forward with the book and my chapters with it, it's just there's been so much clutter, and again, going back through all of my files, and it's like, wow, okay, I could include this, should I include that? There's so much that I want to include. Is it relevant? Does it help push this story forward? Does it help tell the story? Does it help accomplish what this book is meant to accomplish? So again, I feel like there's going to be, at least with my chapters, there's going to be a lot of stuff that I write that probably will never get used, will never get put in to this book, and maybe we'll save it for another one. Oh, good, Rick. I'm glad to hear that you've started on that too. I know we got a few other people starting on their chapters. So, um, and I may have to push the publication date back. It looks like it will probably have to get pushed back, just with life and things like that, and some traveling that I'm going to have to be doing here soon. But that's good. Keep writing, and I look forward to it, man. And I look forward to seeing how this book comes out. And again, I'd rather write, 1,000 pages. I'd rather write 100 pages and then chop it down to 20 or 30 and just choose the best ones. But that's just kind of my process. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there, and I'll definitely be back checking in here soon, maybe later on today, this afternoon. But right now, I've got to go and handle some business. God bless you all, and I look forward to reading your chapter, Rick, and to everyone else who is writing chapters or who has written chapters. This is going to be a very interesting project as we try to keep this case alive and not let it fall down into the memory hole, which I know some people want it to do. It's not going to happen. So God bless you all, and I will be back here shortly. All right, back again for a few minutes. Try not to move on the table here so it doesn't mess that up. And let us move on here. Pull this up. Still looking at some of the social media posts here. Now this one has got to be one of my favorites, one of my ultimate favorites here. Somebody asks, where can I get the Gray State film in the future? That's it. That's the response. This is August 2nd, and they reply on August 23rd. I don't remember the year. This must have been, this had to have been 2018, maybe 2019 or so. But just the response, you could just see the lack of response. Everybody's wondering, where's the Gray State film? Where can I get it in the future? No, you're not going to get it in the future. You're not going to get it. What you got was just another ripoff by the Gray State goons, taking David Crowley's work. Again, taking credit for it. When David had been working on releasing The Rise just a few weeks after January of 2015. And he would have, had he have lived. That's what it seems like. So where's that version? Why did it take them another 2 years to have this other version come out? That really doesn't even seem like it's, I don't know. Well, I'll let everyone decide on what they think about that. But I just found that comment almost laughable. Almost laughable. Almost laughable. Let me see if I can go back here. Stop that. Sorry, it's not coming up. Okay, there we go. Next one. Any update on the feature film? Here is what they say. Gray State says. Again, I'm not sure exactly what year this was, but we will be making a series of updates to what our plans are for Gray State in the coming months. And for the people that have been hearing that for months, for years at this point, this had to have been 2017 or 2016, at least a year or so afterwards. But just more of just gray state nonsense by these gray state goons that somehow have control of all of David's social media, the gray state social media. But if you ask them, they feel like they're just as much a part of it as David was. I don't know. I don't know what the answer, if that's true or not. But we all know that they never came up with these plans. These guys are flaky. They are liars. They're not trustworthy people. Oh yeah, we're going to be making a series of updates, and then what? Nothing happens. Nothing happens. They're part of a hit piece on David Crowley. But let's still move forward with it. So that is one of them. Again, no specific date. Here's an interesting thing. Now, this came out just after David Crowley died. And this is from Jordan Page. Now, this is one of the things that he wrote here. This is for all those who are suffering from the news about David Crowley. David was a good friend of mine. He directed this video for my song, Writing on the Wall. Interesting name. He was incredibly gifted and generous with his time and talents. He believed in me and I in him. I stand with all of you who are feeling his loss tonight. I hope this song helps you. I just watched it and it helped me. Thank you, David. Does that sound like someone who thinks that his friend is guilty, that David Crowley is guilty of this horrific crime? Or does that sound like somebody who thinks that David Crowley was murdered? I don't see anything in this Jordan Page post that would lead me to think that that Jordan Page thought that David Crowley was a killer. I don't see anything like that here. Hey, Sophia, how are you, my friend? So that was another interesting uh, tidbit, I guess, that came out, and that was right after David died. And so this was part of that Tumblr page where people were leaving notes about David Crowley. This may have been before a lot of people were being bombarded and bullied into thinking David Crowley was guilty. Because a lot of these people ended up going silent, and you really don't hear them that much. And if you do, you don't really hear them talking positively about David. But here you do. And this is very interesting because Jordan Page is the same guy that first brought up David's deal, David's quote unquote 30 million Hollywood deal that he was working on. So that's another interesting fact too. Jordan Page is definitely a very interesting, vital character in this. One of the few friends that really, as far as I know, at least publicly, has never come out and accused David of being guilty. There's always one. There's always got to be one friend. Here's an interesting one here. Now, this one is Rise Together. This is from the Gray State The Rise, and this is after David died. And this is after they had probably watched my videos and probably realized that people were looking at them saying, you guys are trying to get money. You guys are making money off of this dead guy. And yet here you are wanting to, say, oh, David Crowley did this, but hey, we're still going to make money off of his project. That was a specific quote that I put in one of my videos that triggered some of these Gray State goons. Probably one of the reasons why they started calling me and contacting me, trying to get me to listen to their side, which I did. It's just that their stories did not make sense. Their stories did not add up. And everybody had a different story. All of their stories did not match, but they all came to the same conclusion that David Crowley was guilty. How could that be if they're all working so closely with him, if they're working closely with the cops, and their stories are not matching up? Found that pretty interesting. But whoever is posting this could be Sean Wright, this could be Danny August Mason, it could be another one of the people who had access to the Gray State page or pages. They said, Rise Together, this is an old video. We are not currently trying to raise money. Well, then what are you doing here? Why are we posting this old video of a child killer? Right? It's kind of weird. These guys really just have no concept of reality, from my view. But I love what Red Ron says here. Red Ron is still my hero here. Here's what he says. This is nothing but a scam Put out the movie. You have been asking for cash for 8 years now. What BS you guys are. Couldn't have said it better myself, Ron. Ron hits it right on the head, right? He just nails it right there. Um, but that's pretty interesting too. So, hey, Sophia. Hey, Blacklight or Blacklist. Sorry, Blacklist 207 says nobody believed me. Gray State was a prophetic documentary, just like they live. Hard to argue with that. I mean, especially the 2014 script, even the 2013 script. There's like some vaccine mentions in the 2013 Gray State script that we have. You can download it for free right now. Just go to thegraystage.com and you'll find all the documents and all that stuff. But the 2013 script also mentions, I don't remember if it's specifically people dropping dead or if people going missing. But that's pretty interesting considering what we know that's happening now. It also mentions somebody drinking a frappuccino with a mask on, which I found was one of the most funniest things and one of the most creepiest things when I read that 2013 script. That doesn't include the shape shifting demon dude. It doesn't include all the other weird things that were in that 2013 script. The 2014 script is pretty um, is pretty interesting too, but the 2013 script is just there's just a lot of weird demonic phrases and things that are happening in there. And I was very confused by the 2013 script. So, anyways, that's a whole nother thing there. But yeah, I love what Red Ron says here. So that's 8 years, right? That's 8 years. Let's see, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. So whatever. Oh, it would be 20 from 2012, right? So um, this could have been this could have been a post from in 2018 or 2019, maybe even 2020. But you can see how desperate these guys are, and it just makes no sense. These people that are running the Gray State pages are accusing David Crowley of being guilty, and at the same time, they're posting his content. If they believe David Crowley was a child killer, why are they posting this stuff? And there's answers. There's reasons why. These guys know why. They'll give you excuse after excuse if you can get a hold of them, and if they decide that you're worthy of getting some type of an answer. But because they don't provide a lot of answers, it opens the door for speculation. But then because they never address anything, they just love to just go after people, to attack people, but they never really address these questions, and they have never been able to prove David Crowley guilty. And that's why they're just very, very sad people. So one of the things the Gray State The Rise says, we are grateful for your patience because they're doctors who need patience here. And we plan on releasing David's work as soon as a couple things are worked out so they can make money. This is very interesting because at the top of this, they said, we are not currently trying to raise money. They're not saying we're not going to try to raise money or make money off of this project anywhere in the future, but currently we're not, because quote unquote they have a few things that they have to work out, right? So they're still planning on making money off of this. And they tried, and thankfully, thank God that they failed. And they say, we think all of you will like what David had in store. It is a difficult task keeping to his perfectionist ways. It's just such a interesting, I mean, these are like bipolar people or something, because one side of their mouth, they will tell you that David Crowley is a child killer. He went crazy, PTSD, blah blah blah. And then on the other side, they're telling you, his perfectionist ways. They want to preserve the integrity of this project and everything. I mean, this is just not about David. This is about money. This is about something else. It's really, really sad the way that they do this. So, Sophia says because they still think GS can be a moneymaker. Yeah, they probably do think that, unfortunately. And I think that it could be too, but not until David's name gets cleared. And that's the strangest part too, is I don't really understand that. I know there's a lot of infighting between these Gray State goons, and they probably always will be. But they can't agree on any of this stuff. So it's pretty interesting. Blacklist says if we dig into who these people are connected to, we will reveal. There you go. Symbolism is their downfall. Just a small hint. And oh, Stephen Paddock. That's an interesting one. Stephen Paddock and David Crowley were both on the same ship. Interesting. I haven't heard that one. Be interested to hear more about David Crowley and Paddock. Don't know that much about Paddock. Just yeah, some very strange things with Paddock and I think his brother, Bohemian Grove. Brother lived by the Bohemian Grove or something like that. I don't really know too much about it, but these guys here, I mean, their own words, symbolism will be their downfall with these gray state goons. Their own words are going to be their downfall. Looks like so. I have not yet. I have not yet, but I will look at that. Let's see. Anything else here? If they mean to have a war, let it happen here. This is the gray state. This is a photo they shared in 2013, so David was still there, which is a repost of this. And I'm trying to remember why I took this screenshot, and I think it was because I still wasn't sure if David shot with his right hand or with his left hand. And so I think what I was doing at this point was trying to get as many screenshots as I could of evidence that David was right-handed because the gun was found next to David's left hand. And if you shoot yourself in the head, it's not very likely. And the fact that his right hand was quote unquote missing, I think that's another one. So that was, I think that's what I was doing here, was trying to collect some of that stuff. But yeah, they say that they want a war, let it happen here, but then their friend dies and they all run like little cowards. So yeah, the trigger, that's what I'm talking about, the trigger finger. The trigger finger is his right hand. And that's evident in just about everything. So this is the extended version of what Red Ron says. Red Ron, awesome dude. Not, and they want to repeat again, not asking for money. This is an old video. But then later on they say, oh, we're still trying to figure out a way to make this happen, right? So we think all of you will like what David had in store. We plan on releasing this. Just gotta get a couple things worked out. What do you think those things are? And here's Red Run's final response here, where he says, "You all asked for monies for a movie. Where is it? Do I really need to dig up your past requests for funds to produce a movie? So don't give me this line of BS. This is fraud, plain and simple. So I ask again, where is the movie?" And that's been a big thing. A lot of people, just they do not know that there was no movie. There really was no movie. There was a script, and David was working on turning that Gray State script into a TV series. He was working with a company, the Michael Entertainment Group, and they were going to start pitching this to Hollywood companies as a TV series. And you can find out more about that. Dan Hannon did a 30-minute audio interview with Michael Boggio, the president of the Michael Entertainment Group. And it really breaks all of this down and some of those last days of David, and where the Michael Entertainment Group is trying to contact David and cannot get in contact with David. And it all seems to happen kind of after the Michael Entertainment Group tells David, we need to make this a TV series first, right? And not closing the door on a film or anything like that, but they felt that the best way was to turn this into a TV series. So Red Ron is asking this question. He's not really, buying what the Rise is selling. I can't blame him. I'm not buying it either. I think a lot of people just are not buying it. So, but it's all, the Gray State, the Rise, it's just all, playing that victim role again, but they're a doctor thanking you for your patience. They need your patience. So here's another interesting one. And this one goes like this. So this says, never compare. I'm just gonna so I can maximize this a little bit. Never compare your inside with other people's outside. The world around us is all toxic. It is trying to pit us all against one another. Your inside, your principle is what you set apart from them. It is us versus them. Just mind numbing garbage here. So never compare, it's us versus them, but never compare yourself with anyone. The world around us is toxic. It's trying to pit us all against one another, but then they go and they pit you against one another by saying it's us versus them. Right? Isn't that doing what you just said not to do? Your inside, your principle is what sets you apart from them. Who is them? Who is them? So I don't know, just more hogwash, more garbage, and then you can see they're posting things that have nothing to do with Grace Day, nothing to do with David, and I'm sure that they still are to this very day posting garbage. This one was a very interesting one. You can tell if you can see where this little loading thing is. This was a post by Grace State the Rise, and I believe this was September 11th of 2017. And I know this almost for a fact because Danny August Mason posted something that he wasn't supposed to post. So let's go ahead and read this. And you can see that it's kind of grayed out, blacked out. This was taken down. So this post I'm about to read was taken down very soon after Danny August Mason posted a trailer for the Rise, or for the Gray State trailer. Here's what somebody says. We know who this is. Gray State the Rise. Here you go, everyone. David's last edit of the third Gray State trailer. I feel the latest info put out by some admins was misleading, and I'm trying to get some sort of control of this chaos. You're welcome, Sean Wright. Who can't spell your, obviously. Not a big surprise there. Guy's not very bright, period. He's just not. But he's all about control. Control the chaos. What chaos? This is one of the signs that there was this internal struggle. There were teams forming within the Gray State Goons. And this is it. And this was later taken down. Who ordered them to take it down? Or is this another case where people are posting things and then later realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. Maybe I'll take that down. But somebody caught it. They caught it almost in mid takedown here. And so this is what this person named Chris asked. Does this post mean you are moving forward with the film? That's what they're asking. But this was just another very interesting post that I found here. And David's last edit of the third Gray State trailer. And then so there's an issue with the other admins and their content, the info that the other admins are putting out, some admins, as that is being misleading. And he's trying to get some sort of control of this chaos. You're welcome. And that could be when Danny Mason was posting the Gray State universe data, where he was pretty much taking David Crowley's project and moving in a different direction with it, where there's some photos of Danny August Mason, Joe Biggs, and Elvis, not Presley, where they are they're running around shooting at nothing behind a green screen, or standing in front of a green screen. It's some funny stuff, and I put that in a couple other videos too. But this just shows there are factions within these factions here. These guys are not a team. No wonder David was building a trustworthy team. Can't trust these guys. Look at what they do. There's a bunch of backstabbers. And nothing to honor David, right? You don't honor David by accusing him of this crime, by going along with this. After everything that they have been saying to resist. And then as soon as the police come out within 24 hours of finding David Crowley's body, they're not resisting that. Hypocrites, cowards. Doesn't make sense to me. Never has, never will. Let's see. So yeah, so that's the other one. I think that's the last one. Where can I get the Gray State film in the future? So you got to be a time traveler to find this shit. That's what I got from it. This one is something that will make it into the book, where Martin asks them about what their take is on the Crowley's death, suicide or probable murder. They say the very extensive and thorough police investigation came to the conclusion that David was the cause of the tragic event that happened. And we know that that is not true. They did not come to that conclusion. The police have never been able to prove David Crowley was guilty. But the Gray State goons do not care. They do not care. All that they want to do is to control the situation, to control any groups that may be looking into it, to control any people that may be looking into this that may have questions. People are going to them, going to the Gray State for questions. And look at these responses that they're getting. Oh, the police proved David did it. That's the response that you get from them. That's it. Everything's good. As close friend, we're all close friends, but we're just gonna say this was heartbreaking and tragic, but David did it. Some people don't want to believe it, even those that didn't know the Crowleys or us, or for the most part never heard of Gray State before 2015. They just want to come up with every conspiracy theory out there, point fingers in every direction away from the facts. But that's what they're doing. That's what these guys are doing. They're pointing the finger in every other way away from the facts of the case. The facts do not prove David Crowley did this. That is a fact. Those are the facts. These guys are not pointing people to those facts. They're not keeping an open mind to this. They call the police investigation extensive and thorough. And that the police came to the conclusion David was the cause of this tragic events that happened. Really. That's not exactly what happened. Not even close, especially now that you can read all the documents for yourself. So he says, while people can spend all the time they want trying to figure out what nefarious and heinous plan by the New World Order was, right, that's just another slight, not taking into account all of the people that are just asking questions, just looking at this and saying, wait a minute, let's not even go there. If this was who did it, did the New World Order did it, or hey, if David didn't do it, then who did? As if you have to be able to prove somebody else did if it wasn't David. In this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. That's what David is, was, and always will be, innocent until proven guilty. And nobody has been able to prove him guilty, and they never will. That's why these guys are liars, cowards, and failures. Failures, complete failures. And that's it. So but they're they just want to believe it all and just okay, well, we. And the other thing that they mention here, and I'll just mention this before I go, but they say they've put in many years into this with David as partners, and thousands of people want to see this project still happen. Yeah, especially people that can make money off of David's death. Those are the main people that really want to see the project moving forward. They're not going to donate that money to David's family or anything. They're not going to donate or just, no, this is all about money. And it makes absolutely no sense to accuse David Crowley of this heinous crime, and then at the same time, yeah, but you know what? He was a good guy, so let's get this project done in this guy's name. Makes absolutely no sense to me. But they also want to let people know that David, regardless of what David may have been saying in the months leading up to the tragedy, he was never alone on working on Gray State. But it doesn't sound like a lot of these people know that much about the 2014 script. So maybe David Crowley was alone on working on Gray State. Maybe he had scrapped all of this stuff from the 2013 script and moved, and that's why the 2014 script looks completely different than the 2013 script. They're almost two completely different films, if not two completely different films. So that's what I saw. That's what I found with it, anyways. But they want to make sure that you know that they are still a part of the Gray State team when David did not want these guys a part of the team. He's moving away from all these guys here. And now they have access and now they have control of his channels, of his project, of something that he created. They not only want control, they want creative control. They want to have, they want people to know that they were a part of this, that they helped create this too. Very interesting. And they even recognize that it's, even it doesn't, regardless of what David may have been saying, what David was saying is he's distancing himself from these guys, is he's building a new team. His day one journal shows he's trying to get a lot of people out of his life. A lot of these toxic people, they're the toxic ones. Very interesting. Let's see. I think that is about it. Yeah. So, but they still want to make Gray State because they want it to become something we feel the fans will love and appreciate. So, very interesting. Uh, Let's see. Blacklist says here, Kurt Cobain. So yeah, great movie. So can Bleach. Crime scenes never add up, and we get to stop the useful idiots in their track live. Yep, yep. Oh, the Afghanistan with the planes, with people running aside. Yeah, sad. I've seen some of those videos. Some of the saddest stuff I've seen. So, yeah, January 6th was Doc's material leading into. It was filmed on the 5th. Never trust Alex Jones, by the way. Go to Montegraph YouTube. Yeah, I haven't heard of that. I haven't followed too much of the Jan 6 stuff because, yeah, it just seems um, all manufactured, complete setup. However you want to slice it up. But even David Crowley was distancing himself from Alex Jones too. He had a post about that saying, he's he doesn't want to do the Alex Jones quote unquote model, business model, financial model, whatever you want to call it. So, let's see what else. Modus operandi. Yep. Fauci and Carrie Mullis. Wow, interesting. Blacklist also says that's what I see David shown us. They were top level in his movie. Very interesting there too. I think that's all of the screenshots for this. Was there another one? Okay, so it's just, I have some other clips. So this part will be in the book. I look forward to that. Look forward to putting that in the book. But I found this one of the most interesting. This was sent to me years ago, but this was very interesting just because of how quickly it was taken down. It was taken down after Sean Wright made sure that that this is coming from him. He really wants you to know that, as if he's some big rising star in the rise in the gray state or something. I don't know. I don't know what that guy. I don't know what the deal is with him. It's a very strange guy. But this shows more of what we were seeing behind the background at the time, which was that these guys there was some infighting. There were camps being built up, and we'll get more into that too as some of these social media posts go on. We're definitely going to get more into that. But that's all for now, good peeps. God bless you all. And I'll be back. I got some more social media screenshots and things that I want to share, and things that I want to think about. And, is this, there's just, again, like I said in the first part, there's so much to put into this book, and there's just not, it has to make sense. It has to flow. It has to fit somehow. So we'll see. We'll see what gets put in and what doesn't. But even if it doesn't, at least it made it here. And some of the stuff from the past will get out there. And I'll be back. Until then, God bless you all. Thank you all for joining in. I really do appreciate it. And if you're looking for any of the documents, photos, videos, even the 911 audio related to this case, you can just go to thegraystage.com. Scroll down to the bottom. You'll find all of the documents that we have, David's scripts. You'll find all of those there too, and his day one journal, his internet search history, the phone records, all of that stuff. Pretty much everything that we have, you can find it all there. And that's what it really is. That's what these Gray State goons should have been doing if they really were confident, as much as I am confident in the fact that David Crowley cannot be proven guilty. If they were so confident David Crowley could be, they would have given all of this data to the public. The public would have it. But they know, just like I know, if the public did have this data, from them, they would say, oh, there's nothing in here that proves David guilty. Nothing. The ballistics, the DNA, the autopsies, all of that stuff show David Crowley is innocent. The financial records that show there was no major financial problems. They weren't struggling for anything. No, this is crazy. So God bless you all, and thank you for everyone who has helped get those documents. You know who you are, publicly and privately. God bless you all, and until next time, I'll see you. All right, one last final clip here before we go. I did want to do a little screen share. I was talking a few minutes ago about Joe Biggs and Danny August Mason. So let me pull this up here. Everybody can see that. Let's go full screen just for fun. So yeah, so there it is. Come on. Does this sometimes. Trying to find this. Okay, there we go. And then it won't pull up. Don't know why. It's odd. Very odd. Try it again. All right. So this is, which is coming in 2017. So this was a trigger point, and this was one of the things that led the Gray State Goons on their separate ways here, forming two different camps. Here's one of the camps here, Johnny Elvis, Joe Biggs, and Danny August Mason, and what Danny August Mason was trying to do. Now, I was still in touch with Mason Hendricks during this point when this came out, and Mason Hendricks was not very happy about this. He even made the comment that if Danny August Mason keeps going down this route, that Mason Hendricks would deliver Danny August Mason's head on a silver platter to me. Pretty interesting how these guys operate. But so here you have Danny August Mason moving forward with Gray State. No David Crowley, right? Because he's just an actor. Danny August Mason is just an actor here. So Gray State 2017. Let's see. This is some interesting, good back and forth here. So that must have been posted in the group. Love it. Yeah. So these are just some of the comments here, and I asked the question: do you believe David is guilty? Do you think I got an answer to that? But here's some of those green screen shots that I was talking about earlier, where these guys are, well, they're running around, and nothing there in that one. Anything here? Do you believe David Crowley is guilty? Yeah, nothing. Nope. Is David Crowley guilty? If so, why are you supporting this? Is what I asked them at the bottom. But not too much there. Probably not that much. I think that was the only thing I wanted to show. Is just that one photo. But they're not interested in answering any questions. Oh, and then I think all my comments are gone at some point. So here they are my comments. And then boom. Gone. Disappeared? I guess so. Just like that. Yeah, so I think that was the only thing here. Just some of those that I wanted to get out. But it's just funny. And then commando clause is what I posted in the justice group. Because there they are. The commando clauses. Own aspects. So, man, I don't know. These guys are just too much. They're just too much. But here's what Mason Hendricks said, and I was talking with him during this point, and I sent him that photo. I sent the photo to Mason Hendricks. And here's what he says: got to get a parental signature on a permission slip first. Joe Biggs didn't save or create Gray State. Interesting. Interesting. So the plot thickens there between these two groups. Boy, it thickens. Anything else? Yeah, it's just a lot of, a lot of his fans, I guess. But here it is, right here. We will be releasing an update sometime in the next 24 hours, Gray State. And there it was. Some of those clips. 285 still shots or something. 279 out of 285. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Maybe these are frames. All you film buffs would definitely know that. But not Danny August made. He wouldn't know it because he's just an actor. So he probably has no idea about that. And here they are. Here are the guys. So they tried to pitch it, and it failed, thankfully. And I was pretty happy about that myself. I don't know. Just wanted to share those. Big updates are coming. I mean, they're posting things really have nothing to do with David or anything. It's just all about creating the narrative. So just want to jump in really quickly and share that. All right. All right. Until next time. Seriously, this time. All right. Sorry, I just could not resist before it goes any further down the rabbit hole. I just wanted to share this one screenshot here. So I felt this was a pretty powerful screenshot. Few interesting tidbits in this one that we can talk about. So Mark Deplorable Rhodes says, after everything that happened a couple years ago, I feared this wouldn't come forward. Good job, guys, moving forward with this project, and hopefully one day we will find out the truth about what really happened to them. I never bought the official story and was pissed when hearing about it. However, I think he would have been proud you guys are continuing on with it. And this is the interesting thing because this guy, Mark, probably has no idea that the Gray State Goons are the ones that are really pushing the conspiracy theory that David Crowley did this, that he killed his wife, killed himself. So there's aside from that, um, there's also the conspiracy theory that there was a pact with David and his wife to kill themselves and then take their daughter with them. But Mark really has no idea. It sounds like that the same guys who are trying to move forward with this are the same ones that are accusing David Crowley of being guilty, same ones that are a big part of Eric Nelson's A Gray State. And so he thinks that really that David would be proud of them. He's proud of them. He thinks David would be proud of you guys. David would not be proud of these guys. These guys are accusing him of a crime that he did not commit. There's no evidence. There's no proof to it. And look at the Gray State's one response in this thread here. It is definitely something we had to spend a lot of time figuring out. They didn't say, hey, you know what? We think David's guilty, blah, 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 right? They just want to gloss over that. They say something we had to figure out. We needed time to regroup, work on other projects before coming to the decision to push forward, and we will. This was another interesting one. A guy named Bruce Christensen. If you've seen Eric Nelson's film, you'll know who this guy is. And he says, Gray State, was all the footage they found during the investigation recovered by you? I'm glad it's not dead. And that was on September 28th. At that same time, this is what he says. This must have been 2017 as well. He says, I recently flew drone footage over David's house and the studio in Pentagon Office Park for an LA group producing a documentary of David. I hope it's an accurate one. Both buildings are vacant. That's interesting. Both buildings are vacant. I started following Gray State about 3 months before his death. Then I got the call to fly over a house and a warehouse building. Little was I told why until the day of shooting. So that's pretty interesting. So he's being told, hey, there's a documentary. We need you to fly a drone over these two buildings. I think the first building he mentions, and I think over David's house, and the studio in Pentagon Park. But then he makes an interesting thing where he says both buildings are vacant. So I'm not exactly sure exactly what that means. But he wasn't even told about this. He started following David 3 months before this, before David died. And he's told to fly the footage. I'd be very curious to hear Bruce Christensen's view on that film after doing that, especially if he was someone who didn't think David did this. He's glad that it's not dead, but after watching the documentary, I really wonder what his thought was on that. So, all right, that is all for now. Breckenridge. And there we are. We're off and running back to the races. So we're going to go and look at some more social media posts. How about that? So let me go here. Get started. There is a lot more to go through, but we'll see how much time we have here for this one. I don't know if there's a glare, if that's creating a glare. I guess that helps a little bit. Probably not too much, but that may help a little bit. All right, so I'm going to present here and let's try to find some other things I was working on. Going back through all of my research files here. There is a lot. There is a lot to go through. What is this? Sometimes just going through this, I don't really know. I haven't got some of the stuff in a long time. Sorry, just reading through some things. Guess that won't be too relevant right now at this point. So there's just so much I don't even know where to begin. Bear with me here for a minute. Oh, I know why. Images. Let's see what we got here. There's this one. Okay, I think this will be a good place to start. Let's go. There we go. Didn't know if that was going to show up or not. Let's see if this one does. Here's something for the Michael Entertainment Group. Let's see what they're all about here. Cutting Edge Film, TV, and Music Company, Michael Entertainment Group, full service film, TV, and music production, development, and management company. That's nice. So what else do they do? There's Michael Boggio, the president of MEG, of Michael Entertainment Group. Been in the entertainment business for 17 years, primarily music. Worked and managed and toured with many up-and-coming rock and roll acts. His artists have been on tour and shared the stage with artists such as Motley Crue, Uncle Kracker, Kid Rock, Tesla, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Staind, and many more. Then in 2012, Michael ventured into the movie industry and was the executive producer on his first film, Cut/Print, a psychological thriller filmed in Michigan. It was filmed with the plans of going straight to DVD, online sales, and digital distribution. The movie's distribution company decided to take the movie theatrical instead, and it had a long, successful run in theaters. I've never seen this one. I'd be interested and curious to see whatever came of that. Huh. That's pretty cool. Michael graduated. It's hard to see. Oh, you can see that. Yeah, I don't want that. Michael graduated from Lawrence Technological University with a degree in architecture. He then started his career in architecture and general contracting, working on every phase of the development of the developer's project. So we should look up cut print. Let's see what comes up. If I do cut print, let me stop sharing here. And if I do cut print, Michael Boggio, cut. I never heard of this. Cut print, Rotten Tomatoes. 2020. Oh, here we go. Let's look at this.
At the height of a country's decadence life.
Let's see. I'm going to play this trailer. I'm curious. See what this is all about.
At the height of a country's decadence lies its ultimate demise. Why do we choose to do the things we do? Because we can. Because choice makes us a breed apart. It gives us power. Choice to create. Choice to destroy. Choice to watch the world burn. America has chosen. I will be the hand.
What the hell?
25K, that's the prize. Giving away mad Benjamins. Prank your friends, prank everybody, put it on collegepranks.us, and maybe you're gonna make it.
I'm brown now, bitch. I'm the queen of the clip. Every time you see me shaking,
Who knows when the Grim Reaper is going to tell you party is over?
This is stupid. I don't even know where I'm going.
My friend Katie knows this girl Nikki who heard from somebody that they've set up all sorts of safety precautions. You're totally safe.
You want to go there?
I think so.
Nobody goes up there where you're going no more.
I'm here to play some games.
So they called it a game.
Now this is what I call a prank.
Game? Yeah.
We have now entered Strangeville.
What the hell does boom mean?
Look, they're just trying to scare us.
I'm in a coffin. They buried me alive.
I don't know where, but you're watching, all right?
I got off the train at Union Station, and I got off.
You got to keep playing, Jack.
Oh my god.
Maybe it's just going through different. Okay, it's like, what is all this? It must be just going through different segments or something. So, anyways, that's Mr. Boggio there. Let's see. Hope everybody can still see this. Go back. Cut and print. A group of ambitious filmmakers set out to create. Oh, come on. A group of ambitious filmmakers set out to create the world's first reality horror movie. Their plan was simple. They'd offer an active serial killer complete anonymity and a worldwide platform from which to display his work in exchange for genuine footage of his grisly crimes. What ensures is how else? It's nuts. What ensures is complete nuts is what I would say. Wow. So that's something that Michael Boggio was a part of. Pretty interesting there. Let's see. See if there's anything else on this. Anything else that me stand out? Producer. So Michael Boggio was the co-executive producer. That's in 2012. So he has done other films too. I thought so. Well, that's interesting. Huh. Hey, Rick, what's going on? Just looking up our good buddy Michael Boggio here. Cut and print. I just played that clip. That was a trip. Staccato, and Cold-Blooded. Interesting. Looking at his credits. So he has, these are shorts. A sound recorder and a boom operator credit. I'm going to look at some of these other ones. Maybe the casting crew with this one. Yeah, sound department. And a sound recordist. Okay. What we're looking for is anything. Does this have a trailer? Darn, don't see a trailer for it. It's a short. That's interesting. So he was still doing stuff as late as 2019, or at least getting credit. What did he do in Cold-Blooded? It looks like another thing to do with sound. So because he's heavy in, into the music aspect of it, that's pretty interesting. That's cool. Keeping it going. And that was this another one, Denver. Okay. Where's the casting crew? Boom operator. Okay, so he's with sound department. Interesting. Yeah, Rick, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good the interview with Ross. Yeah, I really liked it. I don't know if I finished it or not. So I may have to go back and take another look at some of that. But I thought it was good. Just going through all my files to see if I find if there's anything else that may be worth noting. So that's okay. So that's Mr. Boggio there. And then Michael O'Donnell is another one. Started his career in 1973 as a stagehand at KCOP TV 13 in LA. and been working in the business for 40 years. 2 live streams in one day on your phone. Actually 4, technically. This is number 4, but these are all kind of short. And I don't know. I'm just doing this so that if I find something later on, I don't want to forget if there's anything good. A lot of this stuff here is going to go into, I'm just looking up old files, really, Rick. Just looking up old files to see what I can find here. If there's anything that may be useful in the future. But if you want to jump on, I'll post the link here if you want to jump on. And so this stuff from Danny August Mason, this is right after he challenged Dan and I to a debate. And he posted this in, not this part, but he posted his challenge in the Justice for David Crowley, Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group. And so this is one of the, after he did that, he started messaging me privately here on Facebook Messenger. And so I copied a lot of that stuff there. See if this will work or not. So let's see here. This is one of the interesting things here where he says, you get Judy, I get Mason, fair trade. Yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure that I did a screenshot of that. He's talking about Mason Hendricks here. So he's definitely got some issues with Mason Hendricks for whatever reason. Which to me is pretty funny that he would have that. See, every time I go in full screen, I have to change it so I can go forward. Let me see if there's anything I missed here. I said, what does it mean you get Judy and I get Hendricks? He said some not nice things to say about you. So and this must have been before the Sloppy Mentor came out, because Danny Mason is one of the comments. He says, also tell Dan not to be so confident when he was in a doc about David that aired at Tribeca. Not sure exactly what that means, but some of this stuff is really hard to digest, hard to understand what he's talking about. You get Judy and I get Mason, fair trade. I don't know what that means, but I'm glad that I screenshotted that stuff. So go live. We can go live. So yeah, he wanted to do this live, and he said he's got some anger issues with Judy, from what I can tell here. We can go live. We were trying to set it up, obviously. I said I'd like to do a public live interview, preferably where people can listen in, not necessarily contribute it unless you're cool with it. So maybe Friday, I'll be out of town next weekend at a family event. So I was trying to set it up, but he didn't want to. Yeah, he said, no, we can go live. Too many Chiefs. Listen, I know you guys want answers, and so do I. Sunday would be best. So he's still here, kind of making it sound like he does not have the answers. He's still looking for answers, which is cool. I thought was really good. I thought that was a really, really positive thing to say, because that to me showed that he's still, at least privately, maybe not publicly, but privately, he's still open to getting answers, to finding answers. And again, this is around 2017. So there's definitely some infighting going on with the Gray State Goons at this time. And I said could do it via conferencecall.com, like what I did with Judy. Whatever works, we'll find a date and time based on your availability. So again, was open to finding a date and time. And he says, F Judy, you and I, or you and Dan. So He's just, I don't know. I don't even know why he would say F Judy. She really had nothing to do with it. All that I was saying is that she could, we could do something, that Mr. Mason and I could do something similar to what Judy and I did. That's all that I was saying. And he just kind of went off on that a little bit. Guess he didn't like it. So here's some of the public posts here. After Danny August Mason posts that he wanted to debate us, and Dan just said, "You're in over your head." And Danny August Mason said, "Consulting your lawyer." I don't know what he's talking about. Why we need to consult a lawyer? And I hated you. So I don't know. We kind of think that, Dan and I have talked about this later. It's like maybe he was just drunk that night and just was posting things, feeling a little brave, a little cocky, and so he decided to jump in the rooster's nest here. I don't know how well it worked out for him, because after this, I never heard from him after that ever. So he had the chance. He wanted to debate, and then he starts posting things like this. So what questions do you have? And so I asked him the question, where's the proof David is guilty? Why do certain police officers come to that conclusion on the same day they found the bodies? And he says, seriously? I say, yes, seriously. To answer your question, Rick posted here, if you could interview any person with regards to this case, who would it be? It would probably be Danny August Mason. I would probably want to interview Kamel's. I'm trying to think if I would put Kamel's dad or David's dad on top of that. I'd probably go with Kamel's dad first, David's dad second, and then Danny August Mason third. That would probably be my top three. And Kamel's mom. I'd love to interview both of Kamel's parents at the same time. And fourth would probably be Kamel's sister. Those would probably be my top 4 or 5 right there. Good question. Let's see if this guy has anything else to say. So yeah, it's just, that's what he says. Let's play a game, right? Let's play a game. What movie is that from? I'll let you guess. You take a guess what you think that movie is from. I said, let's not. Let's tell the truth. And that's the other thing. Like, has your account been hacked? And so I'm not only posting this, but you can tell that I'm screenshotting these things too, because I don't know if this is going to disappear. I don't know if he's going to try to, play some weird games with this. Like, why is he here? I don't think he's a member anymore in the group, but he was for a while. So that was interesting, but I don't think he is now. And so we go back and forth. And he says, you met David. You spoke to him. I said, no. I have never spoke to David. Exactly. When did you last speak to him? But please tell me how I feel. I said, only you know how you feel. So it's just kind of going back and forth a little bit. But he's not answering my question. So he asked what questions I have. I asked him some questions, and then he doesn't answer them. So I'm very confused. But some of his answers here just do not make sense. And he asked me, have you seen the doc, yes or no? What does he say? He says, so my public information is yours to handle. You're the irony of GS. Hope you know that. I don't know what that means. Not really sure what that means. Let's see. Rick is asking a good question in the chat here. Have you got close to interviewing any of the people you mentioned besides Danny? Kamel's sister. I think the closest I got with Kamel's sister was she had her friend So it's Kamel's sister's friend is the hour-long interview that I ended up getting, but she's probably the closest. Dan Hannon interviewed Kamel's dad. We've put out feelers to David's dad, but nothing really came of it. So, and I wouldn't even attempt to contact Kamel's mom. I would just, contact Kamel's dad. So he calls me the irony of Gray State for some reason, but I'm pretty much accepting his challenge, and so I have accepted the challenge that he put out there. Now I think all we have to do is set up a date, set up a time, set up a wherever, and let's do it. Because he even says here he has questions too. So let's talk about those questions. Let's talk about some of these things. Let's talk about why he really believes David Crowley is guilty. If he does, right? If he really does. And I'm still not convinced that he really believes it. I'm not convinced of that yet. But only one way to find out. And that is to do a debate. Just want to run through some of these things because I think that was all for that one. There was another day. Yeah, I found something on another day with probably nothing to do with that one though. Let's see. I'm gonna put that. Yeah, there's some stuff here I don't want to show publicly. There's something Ross. What is this? Ross.elder.com. Sorry, I know you guys can't see this because I just need to see what's going to show up here. A lot of stuff I've covered, and some I will cover in a future book as well. What is this? Here's a funny one you may enjoy. This is from Judy Prochnow here. I don't know where this must have been years ago, but Detective Gummer did not share a lot of the information with you at the bequest of the families. You have gone on for almost 2 years stating there was no suicide note. There was a very long note. Well, we know that there wasn't a very long note. There was no suicide note. Period, Judy. This lady is too much. There was a very, very long note. Oh, maybe I should put that in the book. The Christmas tree was moved the same night as they removed the bodies. Yeah, there's photos that show that. The gun was moved after they'd taken photos so they could take photos of what, if anything, was under the gun, so they could collect biological evidence if it existed, and which it didn't. So they still weren't really able to tie the gun to David Crowley. But I love the fact that she said there was a suicide note, and it was a very long suicide note. Wow, I forgot about that one. She said, yes, Mr. Lum spoke to the police several times, just not that day. Losing half your family and what? I mean, this lady is off her rocker. She acts like she knows more than she really does here. But that's got to be my favorite. That's some of my favorite stuff here. What else does this weirdo say? You made the assumption that the investigation was not thorough by judging a minor part of the evidence. Even by judging a minor part of the evidence, it's not thorough. And the more information that we got, the less thorough their investigation was. And that's just the sad fact of it. That's the sad truth of this whole thing. This was not a thorough investigation. That's what is very frustrating, to even claim that it was. is really wrong. If anybody wants to join in here, certainly let you. Post here in StreamYard. And what was I going to do? I was going to do something. I may play something just for a few minutes and come back here in another few minutes. Let's see. Can you send a link to that, Rick? I'll play it. Don't know if I'm going to try to. Don't think you can see this or hear this. I'm going to play this video and then I will be right back. But yeah, Rick, if you can find that video, Esoteric Research, I'd love to. I'll definitely look at it and we can break it down a little bit. I played this one. This is about a 6-minute clip, but I may be back before that, hopefully. Be right back. Blood spatter in the living room was mostly on the ground, according to BCA crime scene team Joe Cooksley. A black Springfield XD40 handgun, labeled as Item 1A, with a rubber hoe grip sleeve, was found cocked on the living room floor, several inches from David's left hand, according to Detective Tommy Booth. Detective Brian Bone was more specific, stating the gun was found approximately 1 foot to the south of the left side of David's body. According to the firearm worksheet, some apparent blood-like substance was found in the barrel of the gun. The worksheet also mentioned apparent rust-like material, which could have been found on one of 3 unspent cartridges in the gun. The presence of blood was found on the grip, Item 1A-1, the slide, Item 1A-2, the trigger, Item 1A-3, and the muzzle, Item 1A-4 of the gun. Item 1B is the magazine inside of the alleged murder weapon. Ridge detail blood found on the magazine was labeled as Item 1B-1. Several blood mixtures were found on the gun, specifically on the trigger, Item 1A-3, and the magazine, Item 1B-1. DNA results show blood of 2 or more individuals on the trigger, with one of those individuals being David Crowley. The blood did not match. Okay, I'm going to stop that one for a second here. Let's see here. How can I do this? Okay, I got to open up. This table is so wobbly. Makes everything else wobbly. 1 second here. Got to get into the comments and. Oh. Seriously, Rick? Okay, man. You're going to have to jump on if I'm going to play this one because I'm going to go crazy watching this by myself, talking to myself here. Oh, boy. Just had to find this link. And I'm sure some people will know exactly what this is. Yeah, why not? It's what, 15 minutes? Okay. Rick likes to torture me in case people didn't know. Ooh, there's a better copy of this. This is a terrible copy. Look at that. Oh, that resolution. 360. Oh, that's gonna be horrible. Oh. So Rick, this is an old one. This guy did 2 of them. He did one saying David Crowley was murdered. Then he does another one saying that, or commenting. I don't. This may be the same one. Maybe comments about Dan Hinnon on too. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's play some of this. But Rick, if you want to jump on, so I don't tear my hair out, that would be great.
This is a follow-up to my previous video about the death of filmmaker David Crowley and his family. There are a few updates I'd like to share with you, including the evidence that indicates this was a triple homicide, not a murder-suicide. I'll also speak about subversive individuals who are trying to exploit this tragedy, and we'll review some news articles as well as some audio clips, and I'll speak about what we can do to get justice in this matter. A recording has emerged of the Minnesota police actually finding the remains of the Crowleys. After encountering the family's very angry dog, which was supposedly in the house for weeks with the bodies, the police mentioned...
So yeah, so he's talking about the first video, my first Gray Stage video, where the audio came out. This is the police audio, the dispatch audio, where the police go into the house, and you hear the dog in the background. This video, or the audio, sorry, is so important because this was when I think it was Ken Paskin who posted this into the Justice Group, but this audio was the first ever smoking gun that I saw. The main thing that was mentioned in that audio, and I wish I could play that without messing this up, but what was mentioned in that audio was that there was a rear slider open. That was the first indication that there's a rear slider open. So if there's a rear door open, then who cares about forced entry? There's no need for forced entry, right? So I remember this because he speaks out of both sides of his ass. Let's keep going.
That the rear slider of the home is unlocked and slightly ajar. They're talking about the sliding door on the back of the house, that it was unlocked and open. Someone could easily have entered this home and left without leaving.
Doesn't it look like he's reading off a script or something? Someone could have easily have entered this home and left, because he probably is.
Any overt signs of having broken in.
This guy, I think this guy's name is Brendan J. Hunt, if I remember correctly.
County Medical Examiner's Office is already claiming that David Crowley shot his wife, Kamal, and their 5-year-old daughter in the head before shooting himself. But given this evidence of a possible break-in, I think this case needs to be looked into much further. And a news release also said that the police investigation is continuing.
You said the Hennepin County Medical Examiner already decided this? They didn't even...
This case needs to be looked into much further, and their 5-year-old daughter in the
He's
head
reading
before
off a
shooting
script.
himself. But given this evidence of a possible break-in, I think this case needs to be looked into much further. And a news release also said that the police investigation is continuing. Many family and friends of the Crowleys have come forth with questions.
He's definitely reading off a script. And no, they haven't come forth with questions. Their only question is, why did David do this? Their question is not, did David do this? That's a big difference. They should be asking the real question. What proves David did this? They're not. They're just jumping the gun and saying, why did David do this? How could he do this?
Asserting that David could not have committed this heinous act. Jason Allen, a producer based in Los Angeles, says that Crowley's words and actions when the two met in September and in an email Crowley sent him on December 17th seem contradictory to a man who was...
That's an X-ray Ultra. X-ray Ultra. Look up here in the upper right corner. I don't know if my cursor shows up on the screen or not, but in the upper right corner, X-ray Ultra. That's who this guy is. But I think his real name is Brendan J. Hunt, if I remember correctly.
About to kill his family and himself. Crowley had written to Allen that he was working 18-hour days to build his Gray State movie concept about government militarization into an empire. Allen said, quote, David had this consistency and this very steady way about him. In many ways, it felt very contradictory to the actions of a murder-suicide. I truly saw an optimism to it, end quote.
This is good, but he's definitely reading from some of the early news reports were kind of questioning things, which was cool. And then that's when they wanted to get Dan Hinnon. They wanted to take over his group. They wanted to take over Thomas Lapp's Justice Page. That's when something happened. It was a flip of a switch. And Dan Hinnon talks about this in several videos, and he talks about this in my book. Actually, it's coming up in one of the podcasts, one of the future podcasts that we will be talking about. We haven't made it there yet, but Dan Hinnon talks about this, how these guys, they were supposed to be this big meeting with all of these truth seekers, and they were going to talk about how they could put some pressure on the police, on the investigators, to get the case reopened, to make sure, or not reopened because it hadn't been closed at that point, but to make sure that they recognize that there are people watching them. And something happened around January 25th or 26th. It was really a couple days after. And everything, it was like a flip of a switch. And all of a sudden, the Gray State Goons are coming out and saying David did it. And anyone who's questioning that doesn't know what they're talking about. That's what they were basically saying. So this guy, I'd love to see this guy's first video. This channel, I think, Rick, that you found it on is a restream. So I don't know if this guy got his original channel taken out, taken down, or what happened to it, or maybe he realized this is all just BS. But this is all very strange information, but it gets stranger because I know where this is going. The attack towards the Justice Group and Dan Hinnon is coming. It's coming, and this is because Dan Hinnon would not comply with what these Gray State Goons wanted. So they tried to sick this little puppy dog on him.
Crowley talked in a 2-page email to Allen about being, quote, almost completely abandoned.
And by the way, we have the email. If anybody wants to read that, it is at thegraystage.com.
By his original film partners and being, quote, at the end of the tunnel all alone.
And that's another thing. This is more proof that he was moving towards, David Crowley is rebuilding a team. He's trying to rebuild trying to build a trustworthy team. This is more evidence not only of David Crowley planning for the future, but distancing himself from the Gray State Goons.
He said, quote, Gray State fans are growing at a rate of 100 to 200 per day, even now. And when I get started, I can only expect they'll keep coming, end quote. He told Allen in the email that in a few weeks he would release a documentary called Gray State The Rise, a, quote, manifesto on the Gray State model, as well as a few new trailers for a Gray State series, end quote. Crowley wrote, I have no idea how much money is going to come together when this kicks off here in a few weeks, but it might be enough to get started on a series, then independent features running a common storyline, end quote. So what we have here, and in other articles, is evidence that David Crowley was looking forward to the future and had definite plans on how he was going to produce this groundbreaking Gray State project, and he was definitely not the type of person to do this to his own family.
I mean, the way that we're only 3 minutes in here, and you would think, looking back now, I wonder if this guy was controlled opposition or if he was really buying into this and buying into the stuff that they were feeding him, the false information they were feeding him, certain people were feeding him about Dan Hinnon and the purpose of the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group.
Mason Hendricks, one of Crowley's best friends, has also stated that David allegedly left a 2-sentence note at the scene, which doesn't explain anything.
Hey, we were just talking about that, right? With what Judy said. Contrast that to what Judy said, that it was a long note. Judy Brocknell said there was a suicide note, and there was quote, there was a very long one. That's what she's saying. There was a very long one. That's a direct quote from Judy Brocknell, but consider the source. I don't even think the goons that she's paying attention to take her seriously, but that's her own fault.
Journalist Douglas J. Hagman has written an article entitled Filmmaker David Crowley Dead in Murder-Suicide confided, I'm not prone to suicide.
Hagman was another guy who was supposed to be a part of this meeting. Dan Hinnon talks about that and talks specifically about how this was supposed to go down. And there is a audio clip of Hagman talking about his conversation with David. There's no audio of Hagman talking directly to David. It's just Hagman repeating what David had said to him. That's a good clip. I'd love to find that clip. It's a very powerful clip. Something happened to the Hagmans. One of the father or the son got involved in something weird after this too. So that's interesting. I'll have to look more into that. And they're Canadians, Rick. I think Hagman and Hagman report two Canadians, eh?
In it, Hagman says, quote, I recalled him being very detail-oriented and knew that creating this movie was not going to be a small or short project. In addition to the film project, we discussed other matters, personal matters. He spoke of his wife and daughter with the pride of a loving husband and father. He spoke of past events that brought him to this point in his life. He spoke of what he saw as a country in dire trouble from a ruling elite who were bent on destruction of our country and our way of life. He was not, however, fanatical about what he saw taking place. He was reserved, measured, and practical. It was during our conversation that I chided him a bit about the dangers of his undertaking, that it might not be popular move to appear on our radio show in the run-up to the 2012 elections. He chuckled and said that he was glad to have any opportunity, no matter how big or small, to expose the machinations of the corrupt and the complicit who were destroying the country in which his daughter would grow up. It was during the latter part of our conversation that he made the statement that is most unsettling and troubling to me. It was 6 months after the death of Andrew Breitbart and 5 months before the accident that claimed the life of Michael Hastings. He ominously confided that he had no intentions of committing suicide or otherwise becoming a statistic, as he had so much to live for. I'm not prone to suicide, he told me. Although I lost touch of late, the narrative being constructed in the public about David Crowley is the complete opposite of the man I spoke with, joked with, and subsequently interviewed. I understand that people change, things happen, and people will surprise you. I've seen it many times. I get it. What I don't understand is the public's acquiescence or resignation to the official narrative without question, especially considering the people who we've lost to questionable, if not outright strange circumstances. There is something very wrong here. The death of David Crowley, his wife, and daughter is more than a tragedy. It seems to fit a disturbing pattern. We need the complete truth about what happened and not accept anything less. Although his death and the murder of his 5-year-old daughter and 28-year-old wife could have been by his hand, I'm not buying it. Others aren't either. End quote.
Yep.
Now, one thing I do have to mention here is that Hagman lists a Facebook tribute page in his article, but this page is being run by a liar and a fraud named Thomas Lapp, a person who I've been warning folks about for almost a year now. He's been preying on the Sandy Hook truth movement with his con artist pal Wolfgang Halbig, and Lapp is a marketing guy and a handler for conspiracy theories and theorists. If you look up his company's website, Magnify Mobile Marketing, the building they portray as being their office is actually just a stock photo that has been edited and photoshopped to make it look legit. Do not trust this page. I've already spoken with a friend of the Crowley family, Sean Wright, about this situation, and he agrees with my assessment, as do many others. In just the last few days,
why?
the fraudulent page...
You know why Sean Wright would agree? Because it's helping his theory. He wants to push that forward. He wants to make sure that people do not think that David Crowley is innocent. Sean Wright is also trying to make sure that people don't talk about his quote-unquote tax stuff that is in David Crowley's rough cut of the Rise. I'm trying to find where in the book Dan Hinnon. Okay, I found it. Page 186. This may be good stuff for what X-Ray Ultra is saying here. But he's talking about Thomas Lapp. So again, on the same day, which is interesting, January 19th, 2015, Dan Hinnon set up the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group. And on the same day, Thomas Lapp set up the Justice for David Crowley of Gray State page on Facebook, both on the same day. Now, we know Dan Hinnon has since taken over the page, and we don't really know what happened to Thomas Lapp. I really don't know that much about Thomas Lapp. In one of the earlier episodes of this social media series, I guess, that I'm working on, or just whatever, just random thoughts, Thomas Lapp was one of the guys who said back in August of 2014, he told David, "Good luck getting your Hollywood film, pushed by these Satanists," or something like that. That was basically what he was saying. So it sounds like this guy Brendan has a grudge against Thomas Lapp, and it's interesting that it goes back to Sandy Hook. I didn't realize Thomas Lapp was into the Sandy Hook thing. That's pretty interesting too. May have to bring in some other thoughts on that, but let's keep going.
Has censored a number of comments which questioned its legitimacy. In one of these threads, Thomas Lapp revealed himself as being the admin of the page and how he was refusing to hand over control to the Crowley family. You can see that
Yes.
Lapp was already starting his whole
Good for him.
hiring private investigators bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he creates one of his bogus donation funds to further exploit the death of this family. Please,
Okay. Well, that makes sense why there was so much hatred towards Thomas Lapp. They were scared of Thomas Lapp, of what he may do, of what he could do. And if he's connected to Wolfgang Halbach, that's interesting. I had totally forgot about that. That's really interesting. Have to look a little bit more into that. And what happened to Thomas Lapp? I still don't know. He handed over everything to Dan Hinnon, but I did pull up my book here, and starting on page 186 is when Dan Hinnon starts talking about these things that some of these very strange things that happened with the 2 channels and all that. So we can get into that. I may save that for a later time, but it reminds me of this, and good stuff.
Or your friends, like this page, unfollow it as soon as possible, and tell others to do the same. Instead of following...
Here's our fact checker. This guy's an early version of a fact checker with a bad haircut. Let's keep going.
Fraudulent Facebook page. Perhaps check out the official donation fund, which is being
Okay,
run by...
this ends up being a fraudulent. It's not Thomas Lapp's page that is fraudulent. This GoFundMe is fraudulent. $6 million to the Alam and Crowley Medical Fund, a fund that the alums had no knowledge of. And when they found out, they told David's brother, "Take this shit down." And they didn't use those exact words, but take this down. And after raising over $8,000, David's brother did end up taking this down. This will be in the book too. This part that we're talking about here, because this is ridiculous. Why David's brother would do this and call it the Alam/Crowley Family Medical Fund. What the fuck? What's he talking about? Who gave him permission to do this? The only fraud here is the people raising fucking money, trying to raise $6 million for what? They didn't need this. They didn't ask for this. The alums didn't want this. This is one of the more stranger things with David's brother and the people who just share it out, like this loser here, this X-Ray Ultra loser. They'll just share it out there, not even understanding what are you even looking at. So, he can have his views on that. He can have his views on Thomas Lapp and say that that is a fraudulent page. It's not a fraudulent page. This is a fraudulent page. The GoFundMe page that this X-Ray Ultra is talking about right here, this is fraud. This is bullshit. And that $8,000 should be returned to everybody that donated to it. You already have right here, in one day, 66 people donating almost $4,000. All of that money should be returned. Why was this created? Why was this even set up? This is a distraction. A distraction. And then they put Rania on there. While this lady is sitting in hospice, while this lady is, possibly on her deathbed, and they're already taking the focus off of Kamel, aren't they? It's not about Kamel now. It's not about Rania. They're trying to make it about the Lom family, who did not even say, hey, yes, thank you for setting this up, or did not even say, hey, we could use some help. Why would David's brother create this? Why would the Gray State Goons support this? And this X-Ray Ultra guy could just be another guy who got caught up in it, got caught up and didn't realize, thought he was doing something good, thought maybe the alarms really needed some help and everything. And I know Dan Hinnon even he donated money to this. And that's how he was able to find out a little bit more about who set this up, and all that stuff. There's a message, there's some automated message when you donated to it. But why was this even set up? One of the more stranger things. So this X-Ray Ultra guy, him and his bad haircut, are going to try to promote this while trying to say that the Justice for David Crowley of Gray State Facebook page is a fraud. Say whatever you want about Thomas Lapp, but the page itself is not a fraud. There's nothing fraudulent about that page. The page itself is doing what we all should be doing, asking questions. And if the page was a fraud, then why did so many people from the Gray State want to take control of that page, including Shauna Wright, including some of these other people? That's all in my first book, and it will be highlighted too in the second book as well. In the collaboration book, The Buried Truth. This is one of those other things they tried to bury. How much other buried truths do we find in this case? How many people going back through it, looking at this case for the first time, doing more research, and you find more buried truth? How much deeper are we going to dig and find all of these buried truths? All right, let's continue on. Thanks, Rick, for the video.
David Crowley's family. I'll leave the link in the description box as well. It currently stands at $3,800 or so. Now, if a con artist like Wolfgang Halbig can exploit the truth movement for nearly $30,000, surely we can do better than a mere $3,000 for this grieving family of patriots. The usual suspects have also popped up trying to sensationalize the tragedy. Truth Media Revolution, previously known as Red Pill Revolution, is telling his followers that this was all a psyop because David Crowley's last name is the same as Aleister Crowley, an occultist. I would encourage people to disregard the claims of these types of channels, which are the YouTube equivalent of tabloid journalism. I'm not sure what makes me sicker, the loss of these beautiful people or the people who are exploiting this. Which brings me to my last point, which is, how do we get...
Isn't he exploiting? See, he's exploiting that GoFundMe page. They're trying to raise money. So it's all about money, right? They want to get money, raise money. Money, money, money. Nothing here about, hey, you know what? Let's figure out what really happened here. And this is still very early on. This is before the case was closed. This may have been days, weeks after David's death. This is very, very early on. Yeah, I didn't hear anything from this guy later on, right? He's gone. Buried himself and then left.
Justice for the murder of David Crowley. And yes, I'm calling this a murder.
He's reading off of a script. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but look at his eyes there. His eyes not focused on the camera. He could be looking at himself in the camera, but I feel like he's reading off of a script.
Until I see evidence that proves David Crowley actually did this.
And you won't, and you never have. Yet where are you? Where are you now?
So, how do we get justice? We sure as hell aren't going to get it from the federal government. The way we in the truth movement can get justice for fallen patriots is by carrying on their message. Download this man's videos from YouTube. Preserve his memory by uploading them on your own channels and websites. Do the same for other fallen patriots that no longer have a voice. They can kill a person, but they can't kill an idea. Don't let this event get you depressed either. We need to keep fighting. In addition to pressing for an official inquiry into these deaths, we can also seek justice in the court of public opinion. So thanks for listening. Check out this brief news clip which highlights the fact that
Thanks for listening. Check out this brief. Yeah, it's all scripted. Scripted bullshit.
this was not the type of person to fly off the handle in such a manner.
Investigators say a family found dead in their Apple Valley home died from gunshot wounds. A neighbor discovered the bodies of 29-year-old David Crowley, his 28-year-old wife Kamel, and their 5-year-old daughter Ronnie last Saturday. Today, his close friends share with our Reg Chapman how they're dealing with their loss by helping another family deal with their loss.
He was always smiling and laughing and joking, and he was a lover of life.
David Crowley was the leader of this group.
Oh yeah, this is their interview. This is funny. I forgot about this one.
He was always smiling.
Last Saturday. Today, his close friends share with our Reg Chapman.
Look at these goons. Look at these 4 goons here. No socks in the house. No shoes for some. What are they doing here? All sitting on just wow. And all they're going to do is tell you David is guilty. All 4 of them. Clowns. Clowns. Wow. Been a while since I've seen this one. Go and look it up. It'll be hard to find, I'm sure, but that could be why they want it scrubbed. It does not make these 4 guys look good at all. So there you have Mason Hendricks, Sean Wright, Danny August Mason, the one that I'm going to debate in the future, I'm sure. And then David's brother, David's older brother, right there. Right? Front and center. And all they're going to tell you is David is guilty. That's it. To their benefit.
Chapman, how they're dealing with their loss by helping another family deal with their loss.
And that's another thing too, helping another family deal with their loss. Wow. A family that didn't ask for it, family that didn't want it, that didn't need it, that was so offended by it, I'm sure, that they had it pulled down. Great job. Great way to honor your brother and honor the family. Excellent work.
He was always smiling and laughing and joking,
and take the $8,000, and hopefully David's brother gave that $8,000 back, and preferably before he took off to Las Vegas.
He was a lover of life.
David Crowley was the leader of this group of friends. He was more than just a filmmaker.
Is their leader. Take me to your leader. Well, they look like a bunch of followers to me anyway.
He was their go-to guy, good at everything,
go-to guy,
and always willing to help.
Yeah, he was a guy who these guys leached off of, including this guy, Sean Wright. David Crowley talks extensively about this guy trying to leech off of him, trying to live at his house, trying to bum off of him because he got kicked out of his place. What a bum.
Everything you'd want in friends. And
today they sit together.
This guy kind of looks like Fetterman, not him, but doesn't he look like Fetterman, the guy that just won in Pennsylvania?
Friends. And
today they sit together with David's brother Dan, trying to deal with their loss. The bodies of Crowley, his wife, and their young daughter were found in the house they shared in Apple Valley. They had been there for weeks until a neighbor peeked through a window and discovered them last Saturday.
It wasn't too out of the ordinary for him to, just go into an extreme introversion and write and create.
That's why no one was alarmed when the 29-year-old dropped out of sight.
There were concerns. We talked as a family.
His brother Dan says family did talk about David's isolation, and so did his friends.
And I was close to reaching out to them, and they were close to reaching out to me. They
were so close, but so close. So close.
We were concerned.
Family and friends did not talk until after the bodies were discovered, while they wait for word from investigators.
Nelson, pretty fine right there. Nobody's crying, nobody's sobbing. They're all just kind of happy to be on camera, is what I see.
They've turned their pain into action by reaching out and helping Kamel's family.
Look at that. Oh, wait, I gotta go back to that. That's a good clip they had right there. $280. And they all think this is a good idea?
They've turned their pain into action by reaching.
They turned their pain into action. 5 people donated $280, and It's like I can't tell if it's 23 hours or 23 minutes, but this is what they're doing. And they put David right there on there. They're saying David killed the two people next to him and left the dog that's in the photo to die, to starve to death, and killed himself. And they put his name, they put his photo right up there. Isn't that interesting? I wonder why they changed that photo later on. Well, you can imagine. Look at that clip. So the original one was not Kamel's mom. It was the Crowley family who are all dead. They don't need a medical fund because they're all dead. How about the Paleo medical fund?
Reaching out and helping Kamel's family.
Father just lost a daughter and a granddaughter, and he's going to lose a wife all in a very short period of time.
Kamel's mom is dying from cancer, so they set up a GoFundMe account in hopes of spreading Crowley's.
Look at that. $465 there within one day, 11 people. Still the same photo. That is super duper weird. They're all agreeing this guy in the photo killed his wife and his daughter, but let's put his face up here. These guys are freaking retards. They are retarded. Totally retarded for that. If they think this is a good idea, they're freaking retards.
His legacy of helping others to a family in need.
A family in need, because a family needs $6 million, right? They need $6 million. I doubt it. I think Kamel's dad is doing okay. I think he's doing all right.
Crowley says that many followed his brother's work, and he hopes that they'll decide to help the family. If you'd like to help, we do have a link to the GoFundMe account on our website at wcco.com/.
Crazy. I mean, it went that far into it to have the GoFundMe account that only went, as far as we know, to David's brother. Like I said, I hope he at least gave it to the family. And if I ever got to interview Kamel's family, that'd be the first thing that I asked him. I hope I did bring that up with Kamel's friend, but I don't know if that got brought up. But there's $8,000 out there floating around. Hopefully it got returned to everybody before the GoFundMe got shut down, which should have never been created.
1055 Ramsdale Drive. Cop reporting suspicious behavior next door. Went over to the home to the right of the RP, sees dead bodies inside the house, dog inside, sees a gun in the house on the floor.
933, copy. 714, copy.
2933 additional.
Right.
According to the RP, residents have been out of town since before Christmas. Now there are Christmas presents out front, a dog inside, and what looks like possibly bodies inside, a gun laying on the floor inside.
Copy.
Want me to start medics?
You can start them. I'll be en route in about 1 minute.
Oh, boy.
Received. Wait, Anthony, you can put me on that call. Just 10 minutes and I'll have comments later.
714, just have medic stage.
Yep. Of the residents where the bodies are is 1051. 1051.
Send you a past action hit around Curd River Ridge Apartments.
Copy.
1303.
714, I'm out.
Templar. 1305.
49, 714.
49, 714.
Stand by, man.
Templar. 4920, I'm out.
934, send me the ramp, so I'm out. 49, 714.
49, 714.
There's several, obviously, deceased bodies in the front. Why don't you give us 1033? Wait for 34 to get here and we'll make entry.
Okay.
1033 traffic for 4900 squad.
Is that just the
looking
audio
at-
here? No final words from our basement jumper here? Okay, so I guess that's it. Yeah, well, thanks, Rick. I appreciate
Now in the basement.
you sending me that one. especially since that guy has made. There is a video he made about Dan Hinnon. I don't have it here, but so that his channel I think was X-Ray Ultra, something like that, and I think it got taken down, or it just he stopped posting, or something weird happened with that channel. But I do remember him specifically making a video about Dan Hinnon, calling out Dan Hinnon, not only Thomas Lapp. And I think in the next video that he makes after this one is the one where he also starts to say that David Crowley is guilty too. So I know there's been a lot of focus on the video that was just played, but there is a follow-up to that where he talks about Dan Hinnon. I don't know. I think he talks about David Crowley being guilty, and then Dan Hinnon, he goes after Dan Hinnon, similar to how he goes after Thomas Lapp. That's what I remember. So I'll leave y'all with that, and thank you for joining me here, and definitely will be back, and keep it short, keep it brief in some of these instances. But God bless you all, and until next time, stay true, my friends. God bless.